Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world today watching this. Hello to all my BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to another rendition of NXTilosos, the sexiest NXT review show out there on the wrestling internet. And welcome to the BC WrestlePod multiverse of madness, where we are 10 individuals who are reviewing wrestling from both in the States and internationally. But I am one of your hosts for NXT Losos, Mikey. Hi, everyone. How we doing this evening? And joining me this evening, of course, is my right-hand man, the Grand Poobah, the hostess with the mostest, Papa also himself, Will. Hi, Will. Happy to have you here this evening.
Hello. Glad to be here.
I'm so happy that you are here. We got a fun show that we are going to be reviewing today for NXT. But before we get into all of that, just a little bit of housekeeping that needs to be done. So I am here to do so. So if you like what you see on your screen, or even if you don't, that is okay because we love you either way. And we are here for any kind of feedback. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, follow us on the Twitch or the YouTube, whatever your preferred platform is. But in this chaotic world that we live in, I completely understand, we completely understand that sometimes dedicating a whole hour and a half to watching people review wrestling may or may not be within your time limit. However, if that is something that you cannot do, you are more than welcome to follow us all over the socials. We're pretty much anywhere and everywhere at BC WrestlePod, where you could see our clips, which pretty much covers everything that we talk about in the review, as well as the report cards for the weekly shows and the pay-per-views, as well as some other fun things coming in the near future. We also have some merchandise for you. So if you go to fourthwall.com/BC WrestlePod, you can see all of our crazy merch that we have, which is nuts. So I will link that in the description. Oh, I'll link it in the comments throughout this review. So whether you are on the review panel or you're watching at home, you can cop some great merch. We have merch for all of our review teams, as well as our first limited edition collection called Hot Boy Summer, in which we are about to enter the summer season. So get your beach bods and dad bods ready because it is going to be a scorcher, and let everybody know who you got your merch from. So please do. But with that out of the way, Will, let's talk about NXT because we are at this point, we are 2 weeks away from Battleground. Next Tuesday is the go home show before Battleground. I can't believe we're at another pay per view for NXT already. Oh my gosh. I will say this episode was definitely a show of two things. Number one, we find ourselves in a holding pattern with a couple of these things in which, we're trying to keep people who are fighting at Battleground on television. And then we're also setting up some other things that are to come at Battleground and everything beyond Battleground too. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into the review because, we kick things off with, no quarter catch crew, but this is mostly Miles Bourne giving a promo. And dare I say, NXT is turning this man into one hell of a babyface. I will definitely say that. So Miles, starts his promo talking about, everybody has been dancing around the issue. Everybody knows it. Miles knows it. We as the audience know this. And so he talks a little bit about how he is partially deaf in one ear. And here, after he says this, Miles began to say that, but after he eliminated Shawn Spears and Ethan Page and won the Battle Royale to earn the number one contendership spot to face Obafemi at Battleground, he could hear the crowd go wild and super loud cheering in support of him. Miles makes it very clear that he wants to be judged by his ability, not his disability, and that's what any athlete with any disability wants, to be judged by their in-ring work and their ability on the field rather than being judged on what do they lack in certain areas depending on what it is. I really, really love. Before we talk about a certain someone interrupting, I really love this promo from Miles, and I'm like, you're not gonna win a battleground, but dang, I think this is finally the push. And Will, I actually want to give you a little bit of credit because you talked about this last week, where we want to see Miles Bohr be pushed as a solo star, and I think Shawn Michaels and NXT are kind of heading that direction, possibly. So before we get into Mr. All Ego Ethan Page's side of this whole promo, what did you think of Miles's promo at the beginning of this opening?
I loved it. And I was like, okay, here we go. I really think this is it. I think this is his basically, and we all know he's not going to win. We know that, but he doesn't have to win. That's the great thing about it. He doesn't have to win at the big event. He just needs to show up. And I think that they're pushing him forward. And I think we're going to see an even bigger kind of rift occurring as we go forward between him and the others of No Quarter Catch crew. Because he is kind of starting to step out. I mean, as a promo artist, dare I say, pretty darn good. Not bad. I actually enjoyed listening to him. I wasn't like, oh God, shut up and let's move on. I was like, okay, let's see. Okay. You got me, man. You got me. Now I need you to get me. I need you to bring me along for the ride. So I'm really, really hoping that what I was predicting last time is going to happen. I mean, I can see it happening already, that even in the snarkiness between him and Charlie was like, even though it was very like passive aggressive, but it's starting to show up, and I'm thinking we're starting to see the cracks, and I'm here for it. I'm loving it. So yay, Miles. I'm excited.
I am too. So let's talk about the second half of this opening promo, because we get an interruption from All Ego Ethan Page talking about how, basically conniving and, dare I say the term, he's carrying his way into a chance at Obafemi's title. So basically, he is going to be, he challenges Miles. He's like, you know what? I don't think I would have won had Sean Spears not gotten in the way. So, Miles, why don't you put up your number one contendership up in a match with me later tonight? And so Charlie attempts to stop Ethan and speak for Miles, but Miles is like, no, let's do it. If you want it that bad, you know what? I'll put it up and we'll fight later tonight. But so Ava comes out. She's like, look, both of you want a shot at Obafemi, so this match later tonight for the Miles's number one contendership will be happening later in the show. But Charlie, you have a match right now that you need to get ready to. So let's get this thing started, which leads us into our first match of the evening, which is Obafemi versus Charlie Dempsey. Obafemi did what Obafemi does best. Dare I say, though, this was a lot more competitive than I thought it was going to be, and I actually kind of dug it. This is pretty good. I like this match. Of course, Obafemi does walk out with the victory, but Charles, I give you kudos because you actually took Oba a little bit of a back and forth. It wasn't one-sided as I thought it was going to be, and you know what? I was very entertained. This was fantastic. Will, what did you think of Oba versus Charlie?
Actually, I didn't mind the match. I thought the match was pretty good because it's a great part of the story that you had to have Charlie do well, not win, obviously, but you had to have him do well so that Miles can look better. We've got to achieve this idea of, so you're going to put Charlie in the ring with Oba. And yeah, Charlie's got to hold his own. He's got to look strong. And he did. I thought he did anyway. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Charlie Dempsey, but I thought he held his own and did well, which is great because now Miles, and I'm a huge right now. I'm team Miles right now, and so with Charlie looking strong against Obafemi, see now Miles is like, okay, now I have to show up. I have to show up because if Charlie goes in there and does that, I've got to do better than that. I've got to be better than that. I have to, not show out, but he's got to show up. And I think that's what we're going to see. And I honestly, to be quite honest with you, I think, and this is my prediction, I think we're going to get a close call with Miles and Obafemi. I really do. I feel that it's going to be close. I think that it's going to look like Miles is going to take it, but then Oba comes back and retains. But I think we're setting him up for something big. And I think this was all part of the puzzle. I don't think this was a throwaway match. I think this was a perfect part of the puzzle. We had to, because Miles is the only way Miles is going to become his own person is if he removes himself from out of the shadow of No Quarter Catch Crew. Because unless he gets out from underneath that, he'll never be his own person. And I think this is just the next step. Charlie's got to look strong, but Miles has to be stronger. So, yeah, I liked it. I actually really enjoyed the match. I thought I was going to just hate it because Charlie's in it, but I actually was kind of impressed with him. So, well done, Mr. Dempsey.
Well done, indeed. We'll talk about it when we get to Miles this match, but because Charlie and crew were unable to be out there because they were taking care of Charlie getting beat up by Oba, it made Miles's win, spoiler alert, even more impactful because he did it without anybody cheering him on and being out there, and he was able to get it done, the job done by himself. So good. We'll talk about that when we get to that match. But again, Obafemi, Charlie Dempsey, pretty solid. Dug it. Tatum Paxley is going through it. So first we get Carmen Petrovic and Thea Hale walking backstage. They're talking about things that went down last week on NXT, with Jada and everybody else. And then they walk upon Tatum Paxley just throwing her dolls, pushing over the dollhouse. All her friends have left her, which on the one hand is really sad because it is true. Tatum is left with nobody now because Lyra's on main roster, Gigi and Shotzi have been released from the company, so it's by herself again. But you know what? I like that we're kind of addressing the real life things that went down, and Tatum is back on the crazy train, and I'm kind of here for crazy Tatum Paxley. More on that a little bit later in her match. But poor Tatum, she's going through it. Thea, I love your face here, girl. This was me too. I was like, ooh, child. I want to shout out to the internet who grabs these screenshots at the perfect moments. They're just great.
They really are. They're awesome.
Tatum, we love you, girl. Yeah. You going through it.
I have always loved Crazy Tatum. I didn't really like less Crazy Tatum.
More Crazy Tatum.
Because Crazy Tatum was like unique and special and good on her own. But when she became less Crazy Tatum, I felt like she sold out and she became part of the in crowd. And I'm like, girl, now you need to be crazy and be the crowd. You like all of them. Use all your voices. That's what I want to see more of. Because I love Tatum. I really do. I've loved her ever since she first appeared. And I want more of that. I want more of that Tatum back because she was creepy AF. And I loved it.
I loved it too. So we're going to talk more about all these women involved later in the line because first, let's talk about this backstage segment. Ethan's getting ready for his match, and Ricky's just like, bro, you just like ruining everybody's fun. And Ethan's like, yes, I do. I revel in it. And I am going to take Miles out to go on to win the NXT championship against Obafemi and get my NXT championship back. I love Ricky. He's just like, bro, you mad? I was just like, why y'all ruin the party? So I love the fact that Ethan is wrestling to try to face Oba, but we have not forgotten about this feud. You know, we initially thought it was done at Stand and Deliver, but it seems that these two are going to be continuing because Ricky so far doesn't have a match at Battleground quite yet, and who knows if he's going to. But we got the Go Home show next week, so we still can figure out all that. So this is going to inevitably set up what ends the show. So we're going to leave it here. For now, we're going to put a pin in this board because let's talk about this because this was also another fun match. This was Tony D'Angelo taking on our boy Wes Lee. This is actually a really solid match. I dug this match too. Of course, Wes Lee loved playing the heel in this. Tyreek, and Tyson, TNT is what I'm going to call them, running interference for Wes. And Wes kind of getting in Tony's face. And Tony is like, nah, okay, I have nothing left to lose. We're going to fight and we're going to scrap. I will say I get why we got what we got for the ending, but this was a great match. It kind of just sucks that the distraction is what got Tony to lose this match against Wes, but again, Wes wins, so I will take what I can get. So before we talk about what happens after this, though, because Tony, as soon as the match is over, he don't stick around for too long. Will, what did you think of Wes Lee versus Tony D'Angelo?
I loved the match. I did, except the ending. I hated the ending. I'm sorry, but I'm one of those people that hates a win through shenanigans. I hate it. It just drives me insane because I feel like, one, Wesley didn't deserve it. He didn't earn it. And I want him to earn his wins. You know, I don't want to. This is the one thing I don't like about a Wesley heel is that he gets all of his wins because he cheats. And I hate that. I just hate that. You know, it's because I love the face Wesley. I don't like this heel Wesley. I mean, I like it. It's cool. It's edgy. I just wish that he would win because he's the best wrestler in the ring. Now, with that being said, I know that that wasn't necessarily his fault, the shenanigan aspect of it, but still, it just drives me crazy. And of course, I want to know what the heck they're doing with Tony. I mean, do you think he's leaving? Do you think he's about to head out?
Well, I mean, we can talk about it now because Tony doesn't stay long after the match is over because on the screen, Stax is threatened. He found the safe house where Rizzo is staying at. So Tony gets we see Tony later in the show jump in a car to go to the safe house to go rescue Rizzo. When he arrives at the safe house, Tony gets attacked by Stax. Stax cuts a little bit of words, and we are getting Tony versus Stax at Battleground. I'm gonna be honest, Will. I think this is the Battleground is the last match we'll probably see Tony on NXT. I think Tony is definitely going to main roster after Battleground. Unless Tony wins at Battleground and then we get a rubber match on NXT, which is like a loser leaves or a very extreme stipulation. But I think we are not going to see Tony when we get into the summer season for NXT. I think he's going to main roster at this point.
Okay, well, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, it's probably time for him to go. I mean, I get it. I just love Tony. I just love him. Plus he's good to look at. But I just really I like him as a wrestler. I really do. And I'm just like, oh man. But I get it. If he's going to main roster, I get it, my man. And if that's the case, more power to you, more power to you, bro.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, we're getting Tony versus Stax at Battleground. I'm kind of surprised there's no stipulation to it, but who knows? We got next week. That might all change. So, great match. So, let's move on. Fatal Influence, I love you, but girls, I see what we're doing. They kept cutting each other off. So, first, we get the Dark Angel herself, Stephanie Vaked, coming in. And she begins to cut her promo against Jordan Grace, talking about how she's going to retain the championship. And then she just goes into full Spanish before Fatal Influence interrupts. So Fallon and and JC come out. They cut a promo against Stephanie, but you could cut their tension with a knife because JC and Fallon are being very mean girl catty to Stephanie and to each other. Like literally, these two are on the verge of a breakup, which is probably going to be happening. So Fallon and JC talk to Stephanie, telling her that, you know what? Yes, her and Jordan and all these other girls coming in got to travel around the world, but while they were out on the international scene and in other places, the Fatal Influence was putting in the work, making the women's division what it is now in NXT, which then prompts Jordan Grace to come out and interrupt. She basically tells Fallon and JC to butt out, mind their business, stop being haters, and addresses Stephanie saying, like, I'm not here to save you because I want to, or I'm a good person. I'm here to get my insurance to make sure that you are at 100%, that you 100% reach Battleground in one piece. So that way, when I take that title from you, there can be no arguments, no qualms, no second guessing. We're far enough into this. Jordan Grace, you a badass bitch. We love you. Like, damn. I was like, yes, Jordan. And spoiler alert, Will, I think this might actually be a possibility. I could see Jordan winning at Battleground, but who knows? I also love that Stephanie fires back. She's like, I don't need you to protect me. I can fight my own battles. And so Fatal Influence intervenes and says, you know what? We're going to fight you later. And that sets up our main event later.
We're going to fight you later.
We're going to fight you later. It's essentially what we got.
Yeah. So I would not be surprised if Jordan Grace took the title. I would not be surprised. I mean, I would love it. I mean, you know, I love Stephanie, but I love Jordan Grace, and I would be okay with another Jordan Grace, you know, championship run. I mean, she was so, you know, when she was holding it over at the other place, it was so great. It was like the title meant something. You know, it was like, and so I think that maybe she could do that here as well. I don't know. I don't know if they're ready to hand that over quite yet or what, but I would be here for it because yeah, Jordan is badass.
I love Jordan. I love Stephanie. I cannot wait for this match to happen. And of course, later on, we're going to talk about the main event because it was a lot of fun. But before we get there, though, so we do get a little bit of a spot because we got to do some WWE advertising. We are here with Bubba Ray Dudley and The Undertaker, who are with the final two contestants in the LFG TV series, Miss Tyra May Steele and Zena Sterling. These are the final two women. This is basically like the old TV show Tough Enough. Winner gets an NXT contract. And these are the final two. So Bubba and Undertaker talk about that the challenges that they have experienced so far has been to make them stronger. And one of them is going to win an NXT contract and is going to be, you know, making it on NXT and being part of the women's division. This is the moment I love. So these are the new girls. The Sharks smelled blood in the water because we had Izzy, Nikita, Lola, Lash, and a couple of the other NXT girls in the locker room surround these two along, you know, they're also surrounding Undertaker and Bubba. So Izzy and Lash tell the girls, is just like, just because you were on this TV show doesn't mean that you're going to walk in here and walk all over us. And Lash is just like, you better be careful because if you got big ego, I'm going to put you in your place and I'm going to make you wish that you were on another season of LFG. And of course, you know, Lola's also there too. Everybody's just like, our two finalists look around. They're just like, well, dang, looks like we got our work cut out for us. And I was just like, little bit of a promo spot for the TV show, but I'm hoping, regardless, I'm not watching it, but those who are says it's been a lot of fun. But hey, I'm glad that the two finalists are women. Like, let's be real. The two finalists are women, so that means we get more women added to NXT, which I'm here for. So not going to be upset about that. Miles, You get a clap for me. This is actually another really great match. Miles Bourne versus All Ego Ethan Page. Miles' #1 contendership for his match against Obafemi at Battleground was on the line. No Charlie, no Tavion, no quarter catch crew. They were in the back because Charlie was too beat up after his match against Oba to come out because they took him to medical. Miles is like, I got this, guys. We got this. This is a really great match from both of them. Of course, All Ego Ethan Page doing what All Ego Ethan Page does best, wrestling and also being a turd. But Miles Bourne, this finisher was really good. Love this. And Miles beats All Ego Ethan Page. He gets to keep his #1 contendership. And it is still going to be Miles versus Obafemi for the NXT Championship at Battleground. Will, what did you think of this match between All Ego Ethan Page and Miles Bourne?
Well, I loved it because I got to watch Ethan Page get his ass kicked. Because you know me, I am not a fan of him at all. He's one of those people, he's one of those performers that when the minute they walk out into the camera shot, I'm like, I hate you. I don't want to talk. I don't want to listen to you. I don't even want to look at you. That's kind of where I am with him. So when Miles like whooped his ass, I was like, yes, please. More of this. I would like seconds, maybe thirds and fourths. So if we could just rewind this and watch it over and over and over again, I'd be okay with it. And I did. I watched it 3 times. So just because I wanted to watch Ethan get his ass handed to him, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful and well deserved on Miles' part, because I know Ethan is a really good wrestler and Miles did his work. That's what's important. And he beat Ethan. And now I'm excited that he's going to go on and face the big guy.
I'm excited too. So Miles, once again, for the second week in a row, punches his ticket again to Battleground. So good on Miles. We love it. So, okay. The promo skills from Ashanti need a little bit of work, but I'm actually kind of here for Ashanti and Javon feuding for a little bit. So let me set the scene. So first we get a Twitter pre-tape promo from WWE Evolve talent Sean Legacy. So for those of you who don't know, WWE Evolve is the place where all the independent wrestlers who have been given the WWID, so wrestlers who could potentially make it in the WWE. WWE Evolve is where all these talents go and wrestle. So basically, this is like a NXT, but for the first stage. So WWE Evolve is where these folks wrestle, they train, they get to feel their characters, and then they can possibly move into NXT. And then, as we know, NXT people can go up to main roster, all that good stuff. So Sean Legacy was part of the Battle Royale last week, and him and Javon tore it up. Sean Legacy. And, you know, people tend to forget this about Javon. He felt so amazing fighting Javon because they're very similar. They both tore it up on the independents, and Javon knows more than anything what it feels like to be able to go from the independents and then make it to WWE, and Javon has made it to NXT. So Sean Legacy wants a match against Javon. So then we cut to the locker room where Javon is watching this and he's smiling. Ashanti the Adonis is also checking out this video. Ashanti then tells Javon, it's like, man, like, we don't need to be giving those independent guys like the time of day. We made it. They are basically, Ashanti says that these folks are beneath them. And I was like, ooh. I was like, don't diss the independents, man. They got some great stuff. And that's exactly what Javon said. It's like, listen, Ashanti, I came from the independents. These people put in the grind. I was like, you have no idea how much hard work you have to put in to get noticed from these bigger companies. And you know what? I support Sean Legacy and what he's doing because I've been there. I know what it's like. Ashante keeps playing. It's like, well, listen here, Javon, that's all good and everything, but we made it, bro. I made it. I don't need to be wasting my time with this. And Javon's like, all right, man, it seems you got a problem with the independents. So if you got something to say, I came from the independents. So how about we fight it out? And then Ricky comes in and says, like, I want to see you two fight it out. And in fact, I will give one of you a shot depending on who wins for this NXT North American Championship. And so we're going to talk about what happens next week, but we get a triple threat made for next week, and I'm low-key kind of here for this.
I'm not low-key here for this. I am full on here for this. Because this is, oh yeah, this will be good. This is going to be good. I really believe this is going to be banging.
I'm just excited too because we get to see more of Ashante wrestle by on his own now that we are done with him and the Carmen Petrovic thing, which makes me happy for both of them. But we also get to see Javon and more Sean Legacy, who I've been enjoying in WWE Evolve. For those of you who don't know, I also cover the report cards for WWE Evolve, so it's been a lot of fun to watch it. So Ricky gives whoever wins is probably going to get a shot at his North American Championship, which makes me excited. Thea and Tatum. We love this match because this is the return to form for Crazy Tatum Paxley. I also love Thea's new theme. I'm a grown-ass woman. Which I was just like, girl, you are like 22. Sit down. But we love Thea. We love Tatum too. This was a pretty good match. The match gets thrown out by the ref because Tatum goes for the DQ for trying to not for pokey, but for trying to gouge the entire eyeball out. And Tatum does not, when the match is thrown out, the match is over, Tatum goes back to trying to rip an eyeball out. I'm like, oh gosh, I think we're about to see a horror movie because she was digging in Thea's eye really hard. But Carmen comes in for the save, which scares off Tatum. I was like, you know what? I'm here for more women's feuds that does not involve the championship. And Crazy Tatum Paxley is here, and I'm also here for it, Will. I love you, Crazy Tatum. So that's all I have to say. If you have any additional
thoughts. I had coffee in my mouth, so I couldn't say anything. Yeah, no, I loved it. I love this. And the funny thing about this match is I didn't think that it was going to come to a pinfall or anything. I figured it might be a DQ match only because I think it's a setup match for Tatum. And it's also great to see Thea back in the ring too. God bless. I love her. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was fun just to watch Tatum go cray and go back to her normal sort of crazy self. So yeah, no, I loved this. I loved all of this. And I wasn't mad at any of it. So
I love this. And again, this gives Thea and Tatum and Carmen a feud to do, which I'm here for. So I'm excited. So, okay. So on paper, when I was told this is what we were getting this week, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel. I'm going to say this. I actually really dug this. I really did. Of course, we know Joe Hendry was going to be awesome. Joe, we're going to talk about how you ended this because that was fire. But this is the version of Trick I want to see. You can be whiny a little bit, but this is just like, yes, give me cocky, confident Trick. He's not crying about it. He's just like, Trick being like, okay, I don't know if this makes sense, and maybe you can help me put it into words correctly, but the fact that Trick was kind of like downplaying and belittling Joe Hendry's success, getting himself over when he's not part of the NXT or WWE yet, and Trick has been, is like, hey man, I'm happy for you. You got your 15 minutes of fame. You had your moment at WrestleMania. But Trick feels like, excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Trick feels like he's outgrown NXT, and he's definitely bigger than TNA and Joe Hendry. So Joe Hendry got his 15 minutes of fame, but come Battleground, he's going to take that 15 minutes away from Joe, and then he will go back into obscurity. And so then Trick signs the contract. I was like, Trick, I'm here for this. This is what I want to see from you, dude. I was like, this is what I want to see. yes, you still are, well, you're still kind of woe is me, but this is the direction that I want to for you to continue to head in. Hollywood Trick, as weird as it is the sound, I kind of like that direction for him, where he basically gets the Hollywood like basically ego with it all. So Trick, you were awesome. Now, Joe, Mr. Hendry. Listen, so it is no secret that Will and I are a part of, the LGBTQIA plus community in different forms. And part of this community is you got to read a bitch down sometimes. Because reading is what? Fundamental, darling. Joe Hendry, the shade was real in this one because Joe Hendry said some scathing stuff, but not like going after physical stuff or low hanging fruit. No, Joe states that he is proud to defend this TNA championship on an NXT pay-per-view. TNA has become one of the hottest things right now because of the partnership with NXT. And he tells Trick, you might be able to take my title, but I'm not planning on losing to you. However, Trick, you have more to lose than I do, because if you lose this match, your path to the NXT championship is gone already and it will never come back to you. You lose to me, your path to the TNA championship is also gone from all of this too. And you will be the one to fall into obscurity. You have your back against the wall. You need to win this one, because if you don't, then you will be nothing more than whatever happened to Trick Williams. I'm just like, I mean, I'm paraphrasing here, but I was like, oh my God, Joe Hendry, that is some nasty reading. And then, of course, Joe signs the contract, and this segment reaches its conclusion. Will, I had to pause because I was like, I had to let that sit with me. I'm like, oh my God, both of them make really good points. This is one of the better contract signings that we've had on this show.
I agree. Because it was smart. It wasn't, like I said, like you mentioned earlier, it didn't, this whole segment didn't go for the low hanging fruit. It didn't go for the stereotypical, I'm gonna, sit here and blow V8 and try to intimidate and then get all pissy and, and try to fight you. It was very smart. It was like two very intelligent human beings having a conversation about what's about to go down. And yeah, it was great. And I will say about this version of Trick, I also do like it, but it has shades of Carmelo Hayes. And I'm just like, ooh, is that the road you want to go down? Because I don't think that's the road you want to go down.
No, but for me, Will, and I don't know if you agree with this, I kind of want Trick to go down it a little bit, but only for it to turn into the story of you have become the monster you have sworn to hate all this time. It's like you live long enough to see yourself become the villain trope, which I'm kind of here for. And then if this will allow Trick to kind of fix what he needs to avoid becoming Carmelo Hayes 2.0, as what was pointed out to him from Javon leading into Stand and Deliver, I am here for all of this, but I'm here for this ego on Trick. This is kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. It was good. I liked it.
And I hate to say this, but Joe Hendry always has some great promos. But I feel that this is a feud that has allowed Joe Hendry to kind of tap into the more serious of the promo. This is like the beginning phase of what a true champion promo feels like. So Joe has been champion for a little bit now, and usually he's always on the I'm the underdog type of promos every time he gets a match at a pay-per-view in TNA. But I feel like this is the first time in a while where this is true to form a championship promo where he's just like, I'm the champion. I'm not the underdog here. I can walk away happy from this. You have more to lose. So you better bring everything you got, because so am I. And I'm just like, this is true babyface champion, and I'm here for it. Now we're starting to see Joe develop more depth to his character, and I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Also, whoever staged this too gets kudos because like the lighting was right, the scenery was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yes, give me TV show. I'm here for it.
Agreed.
This is great. I loved it.
It was so good.
It was. So we get a preview. So this is what's coming down next week on NXT. This is the go home show for Battleground. So we are getting 2 dueling concerts. First, Joe Hendry is going to give us a concert, which we all love. A Joe Hendry concert is corny, is ridiculous, but I love it. And then we're getting a rap cipher from Trick Williams. So we are literally getting 2 musical performances. I was like, this is so camp. I'm here for it. But in terms of matches, we are getting said triple threat. This is going to be Sean Legacy versus Mr. Bouncy, Javon Evans versus Ashanti the Adonis. And then in a promo in which Kalani and Zarya are still going at it, Kalani complaining that there was unfair of Zarya to put her through the barricade, wants a rematch, and she tells Sol that if she beats Zarya, she wants a championship match against Sol Ruka, which Zarya says no, but Sol says bet, okay. So we are getting a rematch, Kalani versus Zarya, and if Kalani can win, she gets her championship match against Sol Ruka. So I think Kalani might win here, but who knows? But listen, we said it last week. We wanted them to run it back, so we're getting it run back again next week. So I'm here for this. So shout out to the girls. We love to see it. But Will, we get into our main event, Fatal Influence versus Jordan Grace and Stephanie Vaquer. What a fun main event. I thought Fatal Influence had some really great tag team action, but Jordan and Stephanie have all the power going for them. And Jordan Grace getting the definitive win by pinning JC with the Juggernaut driver, essentially, for the 3 count. And your winners is Stephanie Vaquer and Jordan Grace. Before we talk about where these two ended up to close the show, Will, what did you think of our main event between Fatal Influence and Stephanie and Jordan?
I found it to be very interesting because now I'm like, okay, so Jordan won this match basically. So I don't know. I love the match. The match was great. The match is great, but I was trying to read between the lines because I know, that because Jordan got the pin, she got, she basically won this match. So, I'm like, so does that mean she's going to lose? You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's where my brain was going. I was like, oh no, wait, she did. Okay. All right. So maybe, and like I said, and I'll preface this. Whoever, Stephanie or Jordan, either of them, if Stephanie retains and Jordan takes, I'll be happy either way. I love Stephanie and I love Jordan Grace. So either of them holding that title, I'm good with. And I just know that Jordan Grace in the championship is a, dare I say, an easier sell because she just exudes that. And we've already, like I said, all over at the other company, well, I guess TNA. So over there, I mean, she was the championship. I mean, she was. There was no doubt. It's just like, and honestly and truly, it's just like with Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is the championship. It's like, because he just exudes it. It just, you see him and you go, that's the champion. You look at Jordan Grace and go, she's the champion. And I think that, so I don't know. And I'm so conflicted because I'm kind of like, well, I don't know if I want Jordan to take it yet. I think I wanted her to kind of cut her teeth a little bit more here. But then again, I'm like, I really kind of do want you to take it, but I don't want Stephanie to lose it yet. It's like, which way do I go with this? So honestly and truly, either way, I'm fine. But I love this match. I thought this match spoke volumes about what's coming. So yeah. But it was good. It was a really good match. And any of the women's matches I love. So even the ones that are not great, I still love more so.
We love to see it. So again, Jordan and Stephanie do win after the match. Jordan gives Stephanie the title, but also lets her know non-verbally that, come Battleground, it's on like Donkey Kong with them two staring at each other. I'm excited for the match. But we close NXT this week because the camera people go backstage to find All Ego Ethan Page has laid out Ricky Saints. So possibly a triple threat maybe for the North American Championship at Battleground between the winner of Sean Legacy, Ashanti, and Javon with All Ego in it. Who knows? Honestly, the Go Home Show going to be crazy. It's going to be wild. We don't know what is going to happen. All we do know is as of right now, we have Jordan versus Stephanie, Stax versus Tony, Oba versus Miles, and then who else knows what we going to get at Battleground. So, but that brings us to the end of NXTilosos for the week. Overall, I thought this was a pretty solid NXT. I didn't really have too many complaints, but again, we are in the building stages into the Go Home Show next week for Battleground. And then we will have another pay-per-view. And then I'm very interested to see how NXT is going to be building up to the NXT AAA Worlds Collide 2 weeks later, now that WWE has purchased the rights to Lucha Libre Federation AAA. So that's going to be an interesting one. But before we go off for the air to kind of give you a little bit in a preview of what to expect for the remainder of the week, literally in less than 2 hours, myself, El Buntador, whoever that person is, and Papa Oso, the three of us we will be back to be reviewing Los Lobos de la Lucha. So we will be reviewing this past week of CMLL action, and that is at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. CST, and 11 p.m. EST. So Lucha Libre goodness, where you can find the three of us, plus our unofficial co-host, Agent Lo-Fi, giving us all the good stuff. Then tomorrow evening at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Central, we will be heading up to the frigid north of Canada, where Will and I will be reviewing Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling's show from this past weekend, Northern Rising. So yes, the flannel fighters are back in full effect, where we will be reviewing the show itself, all the matches that happen, and talk about our newly crowned inaugural MLP men's and women's champions. So I can't wait to talk about that tomorrow evening. Then on Friday, the Takedown Troop is back in full effect. Myself and our new host, JT, will be holding it down for TNA as we review this week's episode of Total Nonstop Action Wrestling as we continue to inch ever so closer to Under Siege happening next Friday. So it's going to be a good one. But then on Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, we have wrapped things up with the Dual Dynasty review. We will be reviewing this past week's Raw and SmackDown. We are on the road to Money in the Bank, so we shall see what that all entails. So make sure to come back for this week because we got lots of fun stuff happening. But that's going to be it for us here at NXTilosos. We will be back next week to cover the Go Home Show for NXT before Battleground. But from myself, Papo Oso, and our third co-host, Macho Rodriguez, and the rest of the BC WrestlePod family, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay biconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you a little bit later for Los Lobos de la Lucha. But until then, sayonara, adios, we love you, and take care tonight. We'll see you later.